大家好, it's Sina here, guys. I hope you're well. I decided to make a video about what it's like to live in New York in 2022. I've lived here for many years, so I have a very good overview of what it's like currently, what it was like before, and how it's changed. So let's get into it. First off, I'd like to say that before moving to New York City, I used to dream about living here for years while I was still in Norway. So I had a very positive impression of New York before moving here. I still think New York is an iconic city, probably the most iconic city in the world in many aspects. So I would definitely recommend visiting, possibly staying here, working here for a few years or a year. I'm not sure about living here long term though. It has pros and cons as with any city, so let's start with the cons. The first con that came to mind very quickly and very easily is the New York subway system. It will be a huge part of your life if you choose to move here and live here, and even if you choose to just visit, you'll encounter the subway system. The New York subway system is currently in need of a huge overhaul. It is so filthy, and homelessness seems to be on the rise in New York the last couple of months. So people that don't have any place to sleep usually come where it's warm or cold to sleep, which is the subway system, understandably so. There also seems to be an increase in crimes on the subway recently, where I've seen news stories about people getting shoved onto the tracks and people getting stabbed. These things aren't frequent, but in general, I'd say that the New York subway system doesn't seem like a beautiful and safe place to be. That being said, some stations are better than others. I've seen ongoing and completed renovations in stations like Fulton Street Station and Grand Central Station. So it just depends what station that you would use the most. And the last con under the subway category would just be that the trains are very often delayed, and you often have to end up planning to take an earlier train to make sure you're not late for work. All in all, the New York subway system is not reflective of a modern, huge city. It just cannot compete with any other major city that I've visited. On the other hand, it's great that you don't need a car if you live in New York. So that's something to think about as well. The second con you'll probably encounter if you move to New York is the ruthlessness of the city. It depends on your own luck, but you might meet a lot of con artists here, you might meet a lot of people that take advantage of you here. But I guess those things can just be ascribed to city life in general. However, something that you'll see more in New York than any other big city is, as mentioned before, homelessness. From what I can tell, homelessness and also income inequality is on the rise in New York City like never before, and it is extremely heartbreaking and frustrating that a lot of people care, but not enough of the people that are in a position to truly make a difference take action. And the last con I'll mention for now is that you might find food very expensive in New York City. It depends where you came from, but you can solve that by finding a more reasonable neighborhood store where you live and cooking your food at home, bringing lunch and so on. You know the tricks. I'll make a separate video later about what things cost in New York. Now on to the pros. The first pro I can think of is something I'll call options. New York has something for everyone. New York has a lot of options. Different neighborhoods, different people, different career paths. You will have a lot of options if you come here, and you will also have a lot of options of how to plan your visit if you visit here. For example, you can stroll the cobblestone streets in Soho. You can eat outside in the West Village in a cozy little restaurant there. You can go for a run in Central Park, or my favorite, run by one of the rivers, either Hudson River or the East River. That's beautiful. And you can go and hang out with a ton of people and see a ton of people and be in the middle of a ton of people. Or there are options for getting out of the main streets and also just feeling lonely, even though that's getting increasingly difficult in New York, but not impossible. We can talk a little bit more about each of those options. All of them are pros in their own way. We can start with food. So New York still has a very vibrant food scene with food from all over the world and all price ranges. It obviously took a little hit during the lockdowns, but it didn't go away. There's always something new opening and new flavors to explore. And we also have malls, like food malls, that I love. My favorite is Italy. I think there are 2 Italys in Manhattan right now, and we also have Little Spain Market. It's just full of some of the best food in the world. 2 of my favorite restaurants are L'Artusi in the West Village and Via Carota in the West Village. I also really love Whole Foods. I'm sure that doesn't come as a big surprise, but Whole Foods is a mecca for organic health food of all kinds. Definitely go there if you haven't been. If you love shopping, New York is still for you. We have some new malls, new-ish, like this one by Fulton Street, it's called the Oculus. And there's a new mall, fairly new, by Hudson Yards. It's called the Shops at Hudson Yards. It also has this tourist attraction right by it. It's actually called The Vessel, and not far away from this is another tourist attraction called The Edge, where you can see a beautiful view of New York City. Something that never gets old about New York City is, of course, the skyline and the beautiful architecture all over the city. It's a mix of old and new, and you'll be so inspired just moving through different areas every single day. And speaking of inspiration, I'm an artist, so I can't not mention the art scene in New York. It's great. It ranges from the big commercial Broadway shows to small art shows in Brooklyn. It's obviously the capital of jazz. It can be quite hard to get started as an artist and survive as an artist in this city though, so I'll definitely make another video about what it's like to be an artist in New York. So all in all, I'd say New York is a beautiful, dirty, charming, filthy, smelly, iconic city that's definitely worth checking out. If you want to support my art and this channel, please like and subscribe. It's much appreciated, and I'll see you in the next video.